If you ever wanted to grow strawberries, you've come to the right place. Today, I'll be transplanting some strawberry plants from my old strawberry patch to create a new one. As you can see here, I've already planted 4 rows on plastic. Each row contains roughly 60 to 65 strawberry plants. And believe it or not, it all started with 18 plants that I bought at the store. This is what 18 plants turns into. This is where I got the plants I put on plastic and what I'm trying to recreate. First, I have to get a couple of buckets full of compost, or as it's known in the gardening community, black gold. Now it's time to add our compost. Yesterday, I made sure I had a straight line and I made one pass with a tiller. This piece of ground that I have here that's open now, I actually grew a cover crop in that consisted of beans, some pumpkins, some wheat, some sorghum, and native grasses. So it did have a cover crop. It should have been enriched with nitrogen. And now all I'm going to do is add some compost. One of the coolest things about working outside is you never know what you're going to see. I have no idea what kind of spider that is. If you do, let me know in the comments below. Now that we've distributed the compost evenly, it's time to till it in. All right, so as you can see, once our compost has been mixed in with our dirt, this is what you get. You get little pieces of compost mixed in with dirt and the whole thing, and all that's going to do is help your plant thrive by holding on to moisture and allowing the ground to be supple enough where the roots can just penetrate without having much resistance. Now that we've incorporated our compost, the next step or steps are as follows. I can't just plant in this ground once it's been tilled. So what I do next is a little unconventional, but it's a very crucial step. And that is I stomp that ground just to make it nice and firm so there's no big air pockets. So all I do is go in here just like this and stomp right in the middle of it. As you can see, this leaves, look how far down that sinks. See that? It's gone down about 2 inches. Again, if you water on ground like this, which believe me, I have, all that happens is that the ground kind of makes these big cracks and your plants don't really have a nice firm compacted dirt that they can kind of hold on to. So this has been a crucial step for me to do. So now that I've tamped my row and made my ground nice and firm, I want to take off those little ridges. So I take my little rake here. That, by the way, if you are curious, that's duct tape. What this is a fiberglass handle. And those fiberglass handles, if you have ever used them, they tend to, over time, get a little old. So you get those little pricks in your finger. Just wrap it in duct tape. You no longer have that problem. So the next thing you do is just kind of smooth things out. All I want to do is make myself a nice flat bed like this, and pull out anything green at the same time. If you get big clumps of compost like that, which once in a while you do, you can always break them up and just throw them back in. Once I've gone through with the rake, as you can see, it leaves me a nice flat surface. So when you put your drip down, which is what I do, when you put your water down, you won't get those major puddles where the water will run down and kind of miss your plants completely, you have a nice flat surface to work with. It just makes your row that much nicer. Now that our row is prepped, the next thing you need to install is the water. As you can see, I already have irrigation set up on my other strawberry rows. So now I just have to extend a piece from there to here with a valve on it. So all I have to do is open up the faucet one time and all of this stuff gets watered at the same time. So once you have your drip hooked up, all you do is stake it. To keep that nice and secure. And then we'll run our line all the way down to the end. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna put this stake like this so I can pull a little bit on the hose, but without disconnecting it from my T here. See, this stake kind of holds on to it so I don't detach it. So then all I do is walk all the way, putting it right in the middle of the row. All right, so now that we have our row ready, now it's time to come and get our strawberries. There's different sizes of strawberries. It really doesn't matter which strawberries I use, because although I will be getting strawberries off of the plants, I'm mainly planting this row for the runners so I can have plants for the end of the season. So the size really doesn't matter. However, what I have noticed is the plants that have longer roots, bigger roots, they have more flower on them. So I'm going to try to get the bigger plants, and not so much the small ones. But at this point, again, for what I'm using it for, whatever plant works, as long as it makes runners for me, and every one of these plants will do that. So let me just show you guys where I'm getting the better stuff. Out here, again, these will work. See how big the roots are? That's a good size root, okay? That will work just fine. But you have these small ones like this. That will also work, but I'd rather have the other ones that have a more established root system. This will work, but I want those bigger ones because, like I said, I've planted them both sizes, and it looks like the other ones are giving me more strawberries at the moment. So the better option are these plants that are right next to the row. And as you can see, they are just perfect. So now that we've taken all our plants out of our old strawberry patch, now it's time to fix them up for planting. So as you can see, they have the old runner stems here. You're gonna have some broken little, they call them branches, I guess. And our roots are gonna be way too long. So the way we get these prepped for the garden is we're gonna cut off that old runner stem because it's all dry and old. That stem is what attached it to the mother plant, okay? Then I'm gonna take off anything that's kind of broken like this or bent, all right? And last, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of cut them down. So I'll grab the top right under the roots there, and I'll just cut. That way I leave them more or less all about the same length. Do you have to do this? You don't have to, but I find that it's easier to plant them when you prep them for planting. So that's all it is to it. And let me do it one more so you can see. See how much stuff is hanging off of this one? So I'm just taking off anything that's dead, dry, the old runner stem. All those. Watch your fingers because these little snippers will snip you. All right. Get all that off. See this broken branch here? Broken. See that one? Kind of, right? So see that? So once I've cleaned that off, here's another one that's kind of bent. Won't hurt nothing. You can take almost all of it off. The main thing you want to leave are these little crowns here. All right. And like I said, grab right underneath the plant there, and then just trim it down to size. And then you have them all looking about the same. That's how you prep your strawberry plants for the ground. All right, so now that we have our strawberries ready to go and have some lunch in us already, now it's time to put our strawberries in. So I like to put my strawberries about 15 inches apart, and I use this framing square. Now, why do I use this framing square? You know, the conventional way of putting in a strawberry is to kind of make a hole, right? And then you take your plant and then you kind of put it in here like this, and you do that, right? So I don't like to do that because, number one, it just takes too much work. You need a trowel, and I got a pretty long row to get planted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this framing square, and I'm going to mark where my first plant is going to go, and I'm going to put that right there. So I'll just push it in a little further than I think I need to. All right, and then from there I will mark where all of my strawberries are going to go. So I'll mark, see, and then I'll mark, and then I'll punch that through like that, and then I'll mark it, and then I'll punch it, and I'll do that all the way down the row, and I don't have to be on my hands and knees to do it. So this is going to be about 15 inches apart. So if you're curious, this is 16 inches by 24 inches. I've had this thing for years. I've used it for planting, but I've never used it for any framing at all like I'm supposed to use it. Around here at El Rancho, what we do is we make do with what we have. And you'll see in a minute how easy it is to punch those strawberries in by using this method. So now that I've marked my whole row and where all my plants are going to go, now what I do to make my life easy is I drop a plant everywhere. I marked my row, so all I got to do is come in and punch them in, and they'll be ready to go. Here you have an extra chance. See how these are small? What I do with these is I kind of just leave them off to the side, and I only use the ones that have the really thick roots and the bigger plants. If I find that I run out of plants, then you know, inevitably I will use them, but there's nothing wrong with these plants. They're just a bit smaller, so like I said, I put them off to the side and I make way for a bigger plant. The way we put these in is you're going to take your plant, all right, you're going to put about an inch over that slit that you made, push down on it, and punch it all the way in. Now, when you do this, make sure that those little crowns stay above the ground. And now what you've done by not making a hole is it's very easy to backfill. The roots won't have any airspace, and as soon as the water hits them, they'll be surrounded by dirt, and they don't have any problem thriving with this method. This is the best way that I found to put strawberries in the ground. Now, as you can see, by doing it this way, you save yourself a lot of fatigue by being on your hands and knees, digging the hole. It just takes a lot a lot of extra effort. But when you do it like this, as you can see, you can move pretty quickly. Yeah, you're bent over for a little bit, but it's very, very limited thanks to your improvised tool here. It really is the best way that I have found to put strawberries in the ground. It's just, it makes a tedious job not as tedious, and it does a phenomenal job as the strawberry plants take very, very quickly using this method. All right, last one. Look how nice this row turned out and how easily I did it. So remember, this is 15-inch spacing, and in less than 5 minutes I put these strawberry plants in the ground. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that's just to water them. Now when you do water them, remember that you want to use filtered water. I am not technically in the city, but I do have city water out here. So another thing that I've learned is using city water, your plants will get yellow. If you have peppers, they will tend to get a lot of flower and then lose them. If you've had something like that, your issue probably isn't fertilizer. It probably isn't bugs. It's probably just the water you're using. So make sure you use a garden filter. That'll make all the difference in the world. These are all grown on city water with a garden filter, and there is nothing wrong with these plants. Look at that. On the contrary, they bloom beautifully. I have a ton of flower, and as you can see here, I have strawberries growing already that we should be enjoying within a month or so. So do yourself and your garden a favor and get a garden filter. As you can see, with our drip irrigation setup, we will be watering this whole row and the other 4 rows at the same time. Drip irrigation is the way to go. As you can see here, I got every 6 inches, I have an emitter. This is drip tape for anybody curious. And now all I got to do is leave this on for a few hours. Every plant will get water the whole length of the row. It has been a few days and our plants are doing very, very well. Now it's time to feed them. And this is what I use. Triple 15. Okay? I use this once my plants are established. I just go through, and this is granular triple 15. Okay? I like to put this one because it's a slow release. So what you do is you just go in here and you just give a good couple handfuls like that. And you want to do that after your plants have been established, and then again after about 3 weeks. Now once your strawberries have blooms like these do, you no longer need to apply any triple 15. What you want to do is get a good bloom and fruit fertilizer. So triple 15 is 15, 15, 15. A good bloom and fruit fertilizer is 2, 15, 15. And this is what I use. This is a liquid fertilizer, and this I apply one of 2 ways, either with an injector through the line, or I will mix it in a bucket and put a little on each plant. Simply follow the instructions on the package and you should be just fine. I hope you enjoyed this complete guide on how to plant strawberries. Now you know how to harvest and prepare your strawberry plants, how to prepare your row, how to water, fertilize, and of course, how to plant your strawberries. It's amazing what 18 plants that I bought last year turned into. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.